we grew really quickly and that was awesome. And we've loved that ride. But when you're doing that, you're kind of like building the plane as you're in flight. And so a big challenge that we've really been tackling over the last year, 2 years is just really figuring out our systems and processes. I want every single client that works with us to have the exact same experience. And I want that experience to be amazing.
So if you could talk to an entrepreneur, business owner out there, what advice would you have given yourself when you first started?
Okay, so a couple of the pieces of advice that I really clung to is
welcome everyone to Behind the Scenes with TK Business Magazine. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin. And on this new series, we are diving into innovation and growth of what builds the Topeka community. And that is our local businesses. I'm super excited to get this new series started because we're going to be going behind the scenes with some of our local businesses, some that you are familiar with. So this podcast is the backstage pass that you get to see behind the scenes of the business. So today joining me is Tammy Thiessen. She is the founder and creative director of Thiessen Design and Construction. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about all of this.
I'm looking forward to our show today because one, you're the first one that we're diving into behind the scenes.
Okay.
And the beauty about this new podcast is that we are traveling to the locations of, where people are located, and we're actually in the house that you designed.
Yes, I love this space so much.
Thank you for inviting us here.
Well, thank you to these clients. They've been so generous with it.
So tell us a little bit about what house we're in. Of course, you don't have to disclose their information, but what is so special about this specific space?
Yes. Well, I wanted to bring you here because we did this kitchen about a year ago, and it's one of my all-time favorites. The stone backsplash has my heart, and I just love how warm it is. What also is so special about this home is we're getting ready to start on their primary bathroom here this January. So I love these projects where we kind of work our way through the home, get really close to the homeowner, understand their aesthetic. And so that's why I wanted to bring you to this house today.
What I love about this beautiful kitchen is that it's very modernized, the neutral tones, everything. I'm here for it. I'm like, yes. And I love all the work that you do. Like you definitely bring a very exquisite, elegant look to modern homes and to many homes out here. But we're going to dive into that later. But first, I want to dive into who Tammy is, how you got started in this business. You've been doing this for 7 years and you have a background in this space a little bit. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So it was an interesting start. We had actually had our fourth boy. Oh my goodness. We have 5 kids. And we had just had our fourth boy, and I'm living in this city lot and feeling like I need some room for these kids to run. So we start the house hunt, and we need to be on property and have some room, and end up buying a home that was 35 years old at the time. And we bought it from the original homeowners. So they had built the house and had not done a single thing. I mean, we had blue drapes everywhere, blue carpet everywhere. It was a traditional layout. And so that was my first kind of impact and experience with a major remodel. So we gutted the home, we took out all the walls, created this open floor plan, and created our home that I absolutely love. But during that process, it was, stressful, like so stressful. And I kept saying, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better process to do this. Like I wanted people to give me advice, not just say, I can do whatever you want, know? And so I was looking for this advice. I was looking for this like direction and streamline process. I was so like, I go to each different person and have to re-explain my vision and all of that. And so I left that experience being like, I have fallen in love with this industry. And also I had all of these ideas for how it could serve homeowners better.
I love it.
Which was really fun. And so I just came out of that. I think anytime you've like experienced it yourself, you just have different like perspective because you feel it at a deep level. Like none of the things we do are just things we do. It's all because I know the feelings that homeowners have during the remodel process.
Wow, that's powerful. So you're kind of coming from a personal experience and you're kind of adding that value to homeowners. And it's like, what it feels like to be a mother, to be a homeowner, and to make sure that people feel comfortable at home. I think it's beautiful. What's also beautiful about your business is that it's family ran with your brother, with your husband. Okay, how are you balancing?
There's a lot of
how
family.
are you balancing that? Family, personal life? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So nobody can get it right. Like I show up with my brother and they think it's my husband. I show up with my husband, they think it's my brother. It's all confusing. So I started the business about 7 years ago and started it as an interior design firm. So at the time I was just imagining I was going to walk people, kind of being like the wedding planner of a remodel, like handle all the details, all of that. But quickly realized that they just wanted me to handle all of that. So about 6 months after we started the company, my brother joined as our general contractor. So he heads up the construction side of the company, which has been an awesome collaboration. He is probably like the only one in the world that could handle all the ideas I throw at him.
Are you like the visionary and you're like, hey, how can we put this together?
Yes. And like a core value of our company, or at least, I mean, they all tease me about it, is just like, I am the one person that will say yes after other contractors are in there and they're like, that can't be done, or like, probably not. And I'm like, we can figure out a way, we can do it. And I love that. My whole team has that perspective. And my brother does too. And that's just so important because we ask him to do some really challenging things and we do not make his life easy.
Yeah, let's go into that. You know, as a business owner, one of the things that I'm sure many people kind of overlook when it comes to businesses is the challenges that you guys face, right? So 7 years in, talk about a challenging experience that you guys have had to overcome.
We grew really quickly and that was awesome. And we've loved that ride. But when you're doing that, you're kind of like building the plane as you're in flight. And so a big challenge that we've really been tackling over the last year, 2 years is just really figuring out our systems and processes. I want every single client that works with us to have the exact same experience. And I want that experience to be amazing. And so we're really figuring out what are all those touch points? How are we doing that systematically? Which is a big lift. I mean, that's a lot. And as technology has grown in this arena, trying to keep that high touch, high tech perspective to our organization. So I want to be innovative. We're using a ton of like technology, 3D design, customer portals so they can track and manage their schedule and their budget and all of these things. But I don't want to lose our really like interpersonal component of our business where we're really investing in our homeowners.
I was going to say, talk to me about the evolution of your team. I see you have like a powerhouse women a powerhouse team of women. And I think that's awesome. So I feel bad for your husband and your brother, but hey, I'm sure they're working with some powerhouse women. That's amazing. But talk to me about the evolution of that. And was it easy hiring people, finding the right people for your team to make sure that they're going into the homes and making sure that they're treating it with love?
Yes. And that, I mean, as we all know about business, the people are the business. I mean, that is the biggest asset we have as a company. And so I feel really grateful for the team that we have right now. I think it's absolutely incredible. It's been an interesting evolution. You know, I think that I believe in this like philosophy of if you're putting out exactly what you want, like people will be drawn to that. And we really want to do the best we can for our homeowners and we challenge ourselves. And it's been so interesting to see people gravitate towards that. And so we've gotten to hire some really amazing people. The respect that I have for my team and like the talent that they bring is phenomenal. I mean, but the team is just really talented and phenomenal, and we have a lot of women, so we have a lot of fun. The guys roll their eyes a lot, but I think they kind of like it. They enjoy it.
Let's get into the clientele that you have, right? How many homes have you designed, redesigned, started from the ground up? Give me a little bit of background about that.
Oh gosh, you're challenging me. You know, being in business for almost 7 years now, we've designed a lot of homes. So our core to our business is remodeling. So we do a ton of remodels. People always ask me that question of like, how many do you have going at a time? And that's a little bit of a hard answer because we do a design phase to our projects and then a construction phase. So we have people in both kind of buckets of that. And then, you know, we've finished a handful of custom new builds. So we only do custom new builds. But a big marker was we just finished the president of Washburn University's home
saw that
on campus. So that felt
awesome.
like a huge deal for us this year.
That's awesome. And you guys don't only do homes in Topeka, but you also serve clients in Lawrence and other places as well.
Yep. So we really work in Lawrence and the surrounding areas, both in our new construction and our remodeling. So we travel a little bit.
So as we're talking about, you know, where you are in business, almost 7 years in, it's a beautiful thing, right? A lot of people barely make it past 3 years, right? Wow. Now, looking forward, what opportunities do you guys see, and where do you see Thiessen Design and Construction going?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I'm kind of thinking back to when I started it, and my vision for it was an interior design company. And that was what I was imagining I would do. And then quickly we added the construction component. Not long after that, we did new construction. So we went beyond just remodeling. And then we actually purchased a furniture store a couple of years ago. And the goal again for that is I'm just always looking for what makes our homeowner, like, what do they need? What's the next thing that simplifies this process for them? And so we bought Home at Last a couple of years ago. And I love that because a lot of times if people are renovating their kitchen, they're going to need furniture for their living room if we take out a wall, or, you know, we're doing their bathroom and they're ready to like redo, you know, their bedroom set or something. So that has been an awesome addition to kind of what we can offer our clients. And so do I know exactly what's next? I don't know if I could answer that today, but it, you know, makes maybe my brother shudder a little bit, but he knows there's going to be some new venture. We've done a lot in Lawrence lately and kind of just growing like the market that we can offer. And so I'm really looking forward to some of those things.
I think what makes your business so unique is that you guys don't only just focus on design, but you're offering construction and services and really almost like a comprehensive package for homeowners, which is really, really cool. Did you always see kind of the direction of the company going this way where you can kind of offer all of these services at once?
I don't think I quite had that vision starting out. But you know, when you start a business, at least the way I've approached it is like, I am just trying to learn from other business owners, other industry owners, and all of this. And I just keep having this philosophy of whatever like serves our clients the best is the next arena I want to get into. And so we keep adding these competencies because it really serves our clients the best. One of the things through some like processing with other business owners that really solidified for me is that I'm really here to make this really overwhelming, complex situation easy and like stress-free. Because when people talk about building a custom home or doing a major remodel, they're like, we're kind of interested in it, but like, we're going to get a divorce. Like, this feels so stressful. I don't have time for this. You know, both of us have busy careers, all of these things. And so what we're here to do is really take this whole thing, leave them with the kitchen that's beautiful like this.
So they're not getting divorced.
Right.
Because you're right. There's so many couples, especially that I know, like you said, I think about my parents at this moment, when they redesign their new home, it is very stressful. And so I am curious, let's go behind the scenes of your client process. What does that look like? Let's even take this home, for example. What did that look like redesigning a whole kitchen?
Yes, that's such a good question. So I love space planning. And, you know, no matter what footprint we have in a kitchen, it can function better. I'm a mom, I'm a woman. Like, I get how
we need the island.
Right. Everyone needs an island. You know, people like to host. And so I love to come into any new consult. So if someone's calling and they're like, I want to do a bathroom or a kitchen or something like that, I'm always going to look at it from a function standpoint first. Like, what can I get out of this space, this square footage for them that they don't have yet? And that's like my favorite part of everything. It feels like the problem to solve. And it's usually the thing that clients get really excited about because they're like, I never knew I could have an island, or I never knew I could have this pantry. Oh my gosh, you know? And like, that's a really satisfying and fun process. So we start with what we call space planning, and we'll really hone that in.
Mhm.
And then once that's kind of defined and clear, then we move into what, is what you think of interior design. So then we're picking like the color of these cabinets, the backsplash, all of these components that make up the space. And of course, that's like a super fun process. That's the part that can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But
so many options.
Yes, so many options. I mean, have you walked into a tile store?
Yes.
I mean,
I'm like, what color do I choose? Where do I even start?
Where do you even start? You're like, what product do I need? Like, what goes with what? And that's a thing that I often tell people is what can kind of trip you up as just a homeowner is you oftentimes want to pick selections independently. Like, I love gray. So then everything's gray. And then you have this really flat, design. So we're going to like walk you through that, make sure that we're really reflecting your aesthetic, but that you're going to get something that looks like it belongs in a magazine, you know? And so that design process is so fun. And I want clients to leave that process saying like, that was a blast. And then we seamlessly transition to our construction process. So our designers are actually going to be the ones that are informing our construction crew and project managers. So homeowners really don't have to be involved in that at all. We have really sophisticated construction documents and rendering, so everybody knows exactly what the space is going to look at, but like by the end. And then we're going to do the construction. We're going to have all these touch points during that process, and then hand over this really like amazing space to them at the end. And what's unique about our process is we're going to take it all the way to styling. So the pretty little cutting boards in the kitchen or the decor on the coffee table, we're going to hang the art on the walls so that when people move back into their spaces, there's nothing for them to do. It is fully move-in ready.
That is amazing. Let me tell you, like, I'm going to hire you when it's time, because when I think about just the overwhelming process of, okay, even as a female, okay, I love all of us, but sometimes it's hard for us to make a decision, right? Like, what's for dinner? We don't know, right? But when we want options, but I can only imagine at the end of the process, the reaction that you get from your clients. Talk to me about like, what does that feel like when, I'm sure during the process of construction, I know I'm kind of like, what is this turning into, right? You're kind of like, you can't see it. And then when you get to the end, talk to me about the reactions that you get from your clientele.
Yes. Okay. So you're kind of describing what we call install day. So when we do a kitchen like this or any project we do, at the very end, we're going to actually do an install day where we bring in all this pretty styling. We're going to set it all up. We're going to hang the art. We're going to put down the rugs, and hopefully like then the client's home and then we'll show it and we'll walk them through it. And I mean, it's just like, that's the moment that feels like HGTV. You know, we can't fast forward and do all the things that they can do in 2 days.
Hey, one day
we might. We try to run it pretty tight. But and it's so fun to get them to like see the space. And what internally we talk about is, this kitchen redesign is a long process and it takes some time and it's a lot of investment. And it is often not until we bring in the very like finished styling products that people are like, but now it feels like my home, and I love bringing that personality of homeowners and seeing their face and how excited they are to use the space.
Now, I'm sure people are always looking forward to like the end, but how long does it normally take? And I know I'm sure like everyone's different, but like what does the timeline look like for each home?
So if we're talking about construction of a kitchen like this, we often prep people for about like 7 weeks. So a core value that we hold as a company is once we start a project, we're not going to pull off. So you're going to see your whole project timeline, and you're going to know, there might be a day an electrician like ran behind, but we're going to stay on the project. And so that allows us to really do tight timelines. And then we have our design process that's on the front end of that. So that could be a couple of months, and that's a little bit driven by our process. It's a little driven by, how decisive clients are and how much they like enjoy the process and want to dig into things. But we try to keep, we know that people are displaced during our model. And so we really work hard to make that go
like quick
quickly
and
for
easy.
them.
Yeah. Cause I'm sure they're wondering like, okay, how's it looking? I'm sure you have like clients that stop by every day and it's like, okay, like where are we at? Like, cause sometimes construction can just take a little bit more time, but when I'm thinking about the small detail of everything about this kitchen, I'm sure it comes with challenges like any construction. There's always like delays or things like that. But as a business owner, Tammy, kind of take me back to the time you had to pivot, since we're trying to give people the reality of what it's like to be a business owner. Talk to me about the times you've had to pivot during this business.
I think a huge point of pivoting is when you go from being a solopreneur and doing all parts of the business and then you start hiring for those parts because it requires you to get all of this like subconscious knowledge out into something someone else can do, because any business owner, I think, desires, once they hire, that clients still get the level of customer service and design that you provided. And so that's a big deal, so moving and scaling from a solopreneur kind of situation into trusting, training, having good processes, releasing, but it's a beautiful thing because it allows multiple people to speak into like how we do something. And that's a big thing, to have our employees speak into how that happens and to add to that.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've learned so much from, let's say, day 1 to now, like year 7. So as we're talking about pivoting, right? And as a business owner, you kind of always have to think on your feet, especially when it comes to construction. I'm sure you've had to walk in homes and think to yourself, okay, we are not going to be done by, let's say, the specific timeline we've told them. Kind of take me back to a time where you've had a challenging moment you had to approach and you were kind of maybe nervous meeting the deadline, or things didn't go the way that you wanted it to go and you kind of had to flip it back or pivot. Take me there.
So that happens in construction a lot. It's a dynamic industry and there's a lot that can happen. So one of the things that I have really held in that is just that most people are reasonable and desire to be reasonable, but what they need is communication. And so that's, anytime things kind of go off the rails, we're in a murky situation. I come back to that value of like, let's communicate, let's get, in front of people one-on-one, really hear about their concerns, because sometimes it's like, that deadline didn't matter. And sometimes it's like, my kid's graduation party is Saturday. Like, what are we going to do? And so just trying to be collaborative and understand and like put ourselves in their shoes and then really open that communication dialogue. I think a lot of people, that's what they desire. And so we really tried to do a good job of that.
You know what I love about your business? I keep going back to the word modern because I guess like, coming from a big city, I've mentioned to you that it's like, you don't really see homes like this in Topeka at all. And so to know that there is a business that is trying to awaken and bring alive a home is so beautiful. But it's like people can look at you and I think that there's something that you do to them. You bring light back into their world.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said that because we've actually moved to Topeka twice. Weird, long stories, but both once from Spain to Topeka, once from San Diego to Topeka.
Yeah.
And both times we were looking for homes online because we were places that were really far away. And that's like this underlying thing is I love Topeka. This is my community. This is my home. And I want other people to come into it. And I hate when I hear about people taking jobs in Topeka, but not living in the community because they can't find homes that they like or that reflect where they want to be. And I want to keep people here. And I want to grow the Topeka community. And so that's like this I don't get a chance to talk about that because it doesn't necessarily hit for a lot of people. So that's sweet that you bring it up because it's something that means something to me.
So if you could talk to an entrepreneur or business owner out there, what advice would you have given yourself when you first started?
Okay. So a couple of the pieces of advice that I really clung to is you have to be comfortable allowing your employees to make the mistakes you've already made. So that's just the name of the game. And so, you as an entrepreneur and as the owner of a company are definitely like responsible for setting your employees up for success, but then there's going to be a mistake that they make that you've already made, and then they're not going to make it again. And so like realizing that's just the process also of them learning. And then I'm a big proponent of like, just take in everything. I mean, I learn about other businesses that have nothing to do with design because I'm like, there's applicable things. Like, I mean, I just got done reading like a whole thing on like a YouTube channel developer, you know, because it's like, that is the beauty of a business owner is like, if you're paying attention to everything, everything is applicable to your business. And I would just tell a new entrepreneur, like, soak it in, read your books, like listen to the podcasts, get as much information as you can, because it's all gonna, evolve your business, and that's good.
Yeah. And let's even give away some resources to some people. What books or podcasts would you recommend that you are enjoying?
You know, I'm in the construction business right now. And so 7 years in, I am listening to like a ton about like the construction industry. But in the show notes, I could like leave you some of my absolute favorites.
We would love that.
And, you know, like I said, even if you're not in the construction industry, you could listen to them and I'm sure get some great information.
So for any homeowner right now that is interested in your service, how can they contact you? How can they get started?
Yes. Okay. So if you go to our website, which is tdesigncompany.com, there's a form that you can fill out and it'll reach us and we'll come out. We do free consults. So if you're kind of curious about that, we'll talk to you about what you're thinking. We can give you some like loose price ranges, which help people understand if that's like an investment they want to make. And then if you're ready to move forward with the project, we go from there.
Tammy, thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. This was so fun.
This was really fun. Okay, now you have to give me a full tour of like what everything entails. And so we can probably include
we'll tour the whole house. And then, you know, their bathroom gets started in January. So you might have to come back and see that at the end. Yes, it's going to be so beautiful.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you.
In the meantime, you guys, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.